some ratchet one time? Ayo, Jay, can we get some ratchet one time?
Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop. I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peace. You gon' see the flex when you hear these writtens. Trust me, you know the difference. I got a long ways to climb before you see a slippage. I see the process and the journey I'm supposed to be, but perplexed, cause I don't really see nobody close to me. Hopefully this ain't wasted and I know it ain't. You gotta take the time for seasoning to marinate. You need the patience and the pressure just to detonate. I'm trying to blow up and these heathens need to get it straight. Gifted with a vision and precision, I'm just trying to make it high key. Might be breaking free like I was Zion in some Nikes. Tucked at the crib, bro, you know just where to find me. Making beats and spitting crack verses pretty likely. Yeah, socks with the burst, boy, I ain't changed a bit. Normal guy till I die, you know what it is. You probably thought I'd give up now that I got some kids, but really now I got these arrows aiming at your ribs. I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop. I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas. Hey, please be on the notice, these my motives. Bought my chicken and it's rotis. You parsimonious, you take it all cause you a locust. My focus is to grow this mission. A visionary, get a dictionary. We here off the rip and we ain't sharing, we just caring. Let me speak it to the manager. We damage her, no you ain't messing with an amateur. I'm ramming, the competition, they ain't standing up. They fanning from left to right cause now they branded us. Now who that is? Mike Jones, they ain't want me now, they all on me. Got counterfeits trying to play me, I guess they thinking I'm Sony. These big head dummies showing up and out of their character. Homie, you need a price cause without it the squad ain't hearing you. Top of that, we ain't fearing yet. We swinging for the fences with the sting of a left hook that connects with Sonny Liston. I'm dismissing any and all of the disrespect. Nonetheless, it ain't a threat, I'm just letting y'all know who's next. I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop. I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas, you gon' see the...
Coach, what's next for me, Joe? I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f*** is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, though they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up from my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Ayo, Jay, can we get some ratchet one time?
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If if you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bitcoin's bouncing, and sometimes the sign likes to brighten up when Bitcoin gets a hard bounce. But welcome back to another live stream, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I hope you guys had a good weekend. Other than that little slippy to the downside, guys, I want to cover the charts with you guys and talk about what I'm expecting here next on Bitcoin. Now, as you guys know, we had some lower levels that we were looking at on Bitcoin with those higher time frame bearish signals. Not only do we have the money flow coming out on the daily, which is still on the way down, we also had those high time frame bearish divergences on the daily, the 2-day, the 3-day, the 4-day, the 5-day, and the weekly with that fresh red dot on the weekly time frame. And we broke down below that value area high. And where did price go, guys? Where did price go? And right down to that POC, and then lost that POC and headed right down towards that value area low. Now, we did front run that value area low. Are we going to go back down and tap that value area low sitting at about $90,500? Or is this bounce the bounce we needed to get out of here and hopefully restart the bull market? Because everybody's scared. Is the bull market over? Oh my God. I saw some of the sentiment yesterday as I was looking around the crypto space here. Everybody's scared that the bull market's over. So I want to give you guys a little bit of clarity on what I'm looking at next here on Bitcoin, as we did get that almost full fill of that volume profile down below. And I love to see what I'm seeing here in chat. People talking about, oh, the volume profile called it, bringing us down to that value area low. I see a lot of people in long positions from these levels. Now, I am actually not personally in a long position here, guys. I was not at the charts when we had that drop down, so I did not enter the trade. So I've been letting price action kind of settle down, but that's totally fine for me. I have no problem missing out on a trade because I know there's going to be 100 other opportunities. So I want to talk about kind of those next key levels that we're looking at, as well as kind of talk about how we got to where we are, because if we go over that, hopefully the next time something like this happens, you could be prepared with those levels like a lot of people in the chat, and you could catch those trades from the low or from the high. So shout out to the Candle Mafia. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We got All Day Trade said buy now or wait. Shout out to All Day Trades, guys. We're going to take a look at some of the altcoins as well, as they have gotten absolutely hammered. But shout out to you, man. We're going to take a look at the altcoins. Shout out to Mr. Market. What is going on? He said that's a higher low. Let's get a new all-time high range. Shout out to Mr. Market. Shout out to Chemistry Bro said bull run not even close to over, but my short-term trading account is over, fully liquidated on 3x trades. Is what it is. Bad risk management. Shout shout out to Ken, bro. Hey, man, as long as you can see the mistakes, you are on the right track, bro. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, you're not even on crazy leverage. So you get licked on a 3x trade. It's like, all right, market, you got me. You dropped us down. You stopped out my low leverage trade. Insane. But shout out to Chemistry, bro. You got your thoughts in the right place. We got Harry in the chat said, buy yesterday, red tag sale. I bought that blood, baby. I love this, guys. I'm not going to lie. What I'm seeing in chat is a lot of people buying the fear. As you guys know, we are in a bull market. I've shown this chart a million times. There has not been any major structure broken. I will go over a little bit more of the bearish case, but it just goes to show how volatile the emotions are in this space. We get the drop down. Everybody's like, oh my God, the bull market, the bear market's here. Now we're getting the bounce, and people, it seems like the mafia is in the right place here. But without further ado, guys, shout out to Aziz, shout out to Golden Child, said I got liquidated also yesterday. Chemistry, bro, you're not alone. Yeah, shout out to Golden Child. Guys, we had $2 billion in liquidations yesterday, so Ken, bro, you are far from being alone. Biddy go, wee! Shout out to Golden Valley, welcome in. Oh my God, Vital says I got liquidated on 2X FFS. Oh God, man, shout out to you. But yeah, with all that being said, guys, to Godfather said, Frankie, why? So yeah, guys, we're going to jump into the charts here, and I'm going to try to break down what we're looking at here next. We'll take a look at the key levels, and again, I'll show you guys kind of what I'm expecting next here out of Bitcoin as we move into this new week. And shout out to Kill says, we bouncing hard, baby. We bouncing hard. Absolutely. Has trying to release the tariff plans yet. I'm not sure, Andu. Shout out to Captain Kirk in the chat, guys. Show our mod some love in the chat. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. Let's see. Is this the macro fake out? Okay, so let's talk about this, guys. So obviously, first off, I want to jump back here into the recent price action and talk about kind of what we saw happen here. Now, obviously, you guys know, if you've been tuning into the live streams, you know we had this, let me hide the larger zones here real quick. You guys know we had this little scalp range up here that we absolutely destroyed in the premium Discord, catching those nice little scalp trades, where we had another short setup. Now, guys, unfortunately, I was unable to hold my short position all the way down here. We did have a short setup here, from the 2 daily naked points of controls / golden pocket confluence. And this was a very important level, guys, because not only did we have these 2 daily naked points of controls, but this was also our key level where we could potentially put in that lower high to get that bigger drop to the downside, especially when we compare that with the higher time frame bearish signals, such as the money flow coming out on the daily, and then those many higher time frame bearish divergences that we had. We knew, right, like this could be a very, very big area to look for a drop to the downside. Now, I did wind up catching that short position. I did not hold it all the way down, unfortunately, but it was a winning trade, so you can't hate on it too much. Missed gains, as I always say, are none of your business, guys. There's always another opportunity. Like I said, I didn't even catch this long position, although we have been looking at these levels, not only for trades in the premium Discord, but also just looking at these levels on the live stream as key levels of support. If we got the bigger drop down, they would be the high probability areas where not only we could come down to, but also where we could see a big bounce. But I'm not tripping, guys, right? Because we can catch a million different trades, right? You can catch a short from here, a long, on a higher low, or what have you. We have to find those high probability trade setups. But what happened here, right? We got that drop to the downside, came to the value area low, and we knew if we were unable to get back inside this value area, guys, we had the last key level of support sitting down just below us at 100,800, which was the value area high of the range. And, every time we see one of these big drops to the downside, guys, I always wind up coming back in time and saying, like, I felt crazy looking at these key levels to the downside so far away, they seem like they're out of reach. And a lot of people are like, Frankie, what are you talking about? We're at 103K. How could you be looking down towards $90,000? And I just like to bring up these levels, guys, because when you have those higher time frame bearish confirmations, right? Obviously, we had that daily money flow coming to the downside. We had the 2-day bearish divergence. Come on, market Cypher. Come on, market Cypher. Come on. There we go. 2-day bearish divergences. We have the 3-day bearish divergences, 4, 5, 6-day, and even 5-day is still printing that bearish divergence. And then we have the 6-day and the weekly bear div, which now we do have that weekly red dot confirmed. We knew this could likely give us some more downside, and we were also looking at the context of how, just like we traded this local volume profile, looking for shorts above the high and longs below the low, we were looking at this larger volume profile as a possible kind of, let me get rid of this fib just to clean things up. Get rid of those daily naked points of controls. Looking at this with our 16-hour bearish divergences confirmed here. Let me pull up the 16-hour. We had a lot of high time frame hourly high higher hourly time frame bearish divergences printing here with the higher highs on our price action, lower highs on our momentum waves here. And we were looking at this as a potential, right, deviation above our larger range, right? If you watch the live streams, you will remember us talking about this. Higher time frame bearish confirmations as we deviate above that value area high. And the same way we traded this local range, deviate above the high, look to go back down to the low, deviate the low, look to go back up to the high. It's the same thing here on the daily time frame. We can use these volume profiles in the same way on any time frame we want. And with this, right, you come above the high. This could be just a deviation above the high as we put in those bearish confirmations. And if we do wind up dipping back below this value area high, we would simply look for price to come down to our POC. And then if we lose that POC, we were expecting that big drop down towards that value area low where we actually had a zone of support, which I'm going to bring up right now, guys. But simply put, right, we lose that value area high. We start that move down towards that POC where we had our next key levels of support, which were simply sitting here at the point of control / golden pocket retracement, sitting between, 97,450 and then all the way down to the bottom of the golden pocket at 96,391. And then once we lost this level, guys, we knew, I was even talking to the premium Discord. I'm not going to try to pull it up, but we were talking to the premium Discord a while ago saying, hey guys, this POC is going to be an absolute key level of resistance or support, because if we lose this, I will be expecting a very aggressive drop to the downside, potentially targeting between about $91,000 to $90,000. And we got that wick down almost to $91,000 exactly. And it's just a simple game of the volume profiles, guys. You lose that POC, you look for that drop down to the value area low where we also had this daily naked point of control. You can see that we actually tapped that daily naked point of control perfectly. That's where we're getting the hard bounce from right now. And we're going to get into those higher targets in a second and what I'm expecting next. But I really want to cover, what we were looking at to potentially anticipate this, guys. You get those 2-day bearish divergences, 3-day bearish divergences. We were talking about how, if we want that big bounce to the upside, you kind of have to trade against the TA, right? You have to assume that the bear divs are going to fake out. You got to assume that the money flow is going to fake out, but we cannot trade like that, guys. We have to take the TA at face value. If money flow is coming out, we have to look at that as a bearish sign, whether we think it could fake out or not. You do have to take that TA at face value. And very simply put, guys, we got that drop down, rip down towards that value area low. Now we have front run this level slightly, guys. This kind of reminds me of back here when we were in this range, earlier. Later last year / earlier this year, we came down, right? We got accepted into the range. We came down, front ran the value area low, came back up, came back down, front ran it again, got to move back up to the high. But eventually we did come down to tap that value area low. It's somewhat similar here, in my opinion. Now, it doesn't mean that we're guaranteed to come back down here, but, we'll take a look at the TA here, and I'll show you guys kind of what I'm expecting. But really nice drop down to our key levels, right? We also had the 786 / weekly level sitting down here, which is kind of where the higher time frame candles are starting to close above, wound up holding as support before this move back up. But yeah, didn't hold the PLC, didn't really hold this weekly 786 at the moment, and we got that drop down to our last level. But just take this for what it's worth, guys. I know last week looking at these lower levels is kind of like, Frankie, why the heck are you looking at these lower levels, man? Like aren't we gonna rip up to all-time highs? And again, with those bearish confirmations, we have to take that TA seriously. And again, once you lose that PLC, you're expecting that quick move down. Now, the real question here, guys, is where is Bitcoin going to go next, right? So we got the hard bounce from that point of control, just to give you guys a little bit of context. And here's kind of what I'm looking at, guys. If we come up to the higher time frames, obviously, we do have the weekly bearish divergence / red dot confirmed. And again, we still have that 6-day bearish divergence and the 5-day bearish divergence printing. And again, right, this could potentially cause a bigger drop for Bitcoin. Now, again, does this mean that the bull market is over? I know a lot of people were scared yesterday, being like, oh my God, that's it. It's all over. The top is in. And this is what happens, guys, every time we get a push to the downside. And when you zoom out here, guys, it really is crazy, right? And again, I'm not saying that it's impossible for 109,900 to be the top. Anything can happen. It's impossible to, really call the top to the dollar at the moment that is happening. But, when you take a look at this from a higher time frame perspective, guys, people calling for this being, just seeing this drop down, calling for a bear market. Now, I understand the alts are in a totally different situation. The alts are getting absolutely destroyed. But from a Bitcoin standpoint, right, this is really, again, I hate to be that guy, but it's we're just kind of consolidating, right? People we've been dumping for months. What is going on? We have 100%, at least for Bitcoin, not been dumping for months. Again, I know altcoins are a totally different story, but Bitcoin has not been dumping for months, right? We've just been going sideways now, just getting that rotation back down towards our value area low. So, until we wind up losing this range, guys, and I'm going to talk about some lower levels in case we do see the continuation, because again, with that daily money flow coming out, we have to remember, guys, we are getting a hard bounce. We had 2 billion in liquidations coming down. Oftentimes that does result in a big bounce to the upside. However, with this daily money flow still continuing to the the downside, we have to be careful of those potential lackluster retracements to the upside before putting in lower highs and continuing down, which was exactly our sentiment recently as we were getting these bounces back to the upside, not only in the higher time frame context. Remember, this was also a key 786 level that we wicked above, but even locally here with our Fibonacci retracements here again on those 2 daily naked points of controls, right? Looking at that lackluster bounce to the upside to potentially put in lower highs at those key Fibonacci levels before seeing a break of structure to the downside, which is exactly what we saw, targeting that POC, which was kind of what I was hoping would hold, but obviously we melted right through that, coming down to those other key levels. So just using the Fibonacci's, guys, and market structure here with on top of money flow as well, right? Especially when you're coming up to put in a potential lackluster lower high to continue down, right? With that money flow coming out on the daily is like a perfect kind of filter to show you like, hey, we are probably heading in the right direction, or guessing that price is going to go in the right direction here. But as we get this strong bounce to the upside, guys, as of right now, right, we are above that point of control. So the next real key level of resistance, in my opinion, is kind of where we just came up to, around 100,000. We could pull these fibs from many different highs. If we pull it all the way up here from this high to the low, you can see we're above that golden pocket. We do have this 786 value area high sitting between 100,200 and 100,800. This is going to be obviously a very key level to get above, just like it was a key level of support on the way down. You look for those little bounces, but once you get underneath here, you're going to be looking for that continuation through your range. So we have to, now we can just play this as a range, right? Come up to that value area high. This could be an area where we will be looking for potential short positions to potentially, continue, ranging around here. And I'm going to talk about the potential of a continuation down here, guys, because again, with that 5-day, 6-day bear divs, the weekly bearish divergence confirmed with the money flow coming out on the daily, this is still, could this be the bottom? Absolutely. I will say that big liquidation wick. We take a look at that daily candle. This is not an ugly daily candle, at least as of right now. Nice long wick on the bottom, showing us that, this was very likely, or not very likely, this was a ton of liquidations getting triggered, washing out that leverage in the market. And oftentimes, guys, when we see these big wicks to the downside, it does result in big pumps. And you can see even here, right, we got that big volatile wick, big pump to the upside, big wick, big pump to the upside, even back here in the range that we were in 2024. Every time we got one of these big liquidation wicks, everybody gets super scared. Big retracement to the upside, although it was just to put in lower highs and continue down. We could see that continued bounce here just based off the huge liquidation that we saw in the market. So when we're looking at this, right, the context of the market right now is just this volume profile, right? We wiggle up to this value area high. This would be the key level to get above in order to open up some more upside. But again, we do have to be careful here, guys, because if we pull from our local swing high to the low here, you can see, right, golden pocket of this entire move down is also pretty confluent with this value area high. So this could be the start of another area where we could be putting in a lackluster pump to the upside to put that lower high in and continue back down. And if that were to be the case, the next target to the downside would obviously be that value area low of the range. Now, this does span all the way up to the 786 to about $103,122. We can cross that bridge when and if we get there. But right now, this is the biggest level of resistance. If we can get above here, that opens up the door to potentially get that move all the way up to 103.1 or 103. Let me get this. Yeah, 101. I'm sorry, 103,122, right? 103,130, whatever you want to call it. But, right up there, this is an entire zone. So if price does get above this golden pocket, it would open up the door to get a move into that 786. And then once we flip that 786, we can simply look at the market in terms of this scalp range once again, right? Get above that 786, look for a move into the POC and the value area high. And then maybe we can get that rip to the upside to new all-time highs. But again, guys, with those bearish signs still popping up on the higher time frames, right? Bearish divergence here on that 5-day is not necessarily the most bullish look, especially with the money flow coming out on the daily. So we have to be open for the move to the downside as well. But as we are ripping here, I do just want to bring up those local levels of resistance. This is definitely going to be a big zone to look at. Flip that to support. 786 is your next zone, and then you can look at this lower or more local scalp range to the upside to kind of find your day trades, find your lower time frame trades. But what happens if we get that return back to the downside? Now, again, I will say with money flow coming out here, guys, I do have to say, based off money flow, the thought process here is still just like last week. I know sometimes it sounds crazy. Just last week we thought it was crazy as well, right? Like I gotta say, guys, money flow coming out, lackluster retracement to the upside, lower high, and a break of structure to the downside is the higher probability situation based off the TA. And with this money flow continuing out, guys, I have to keep that same kind of bias. Now, that doesn't mean that if we rip up here and we start breaking some key levels that we can't change our plan. We absolutely can. But with the way money flow looks, I'm glad that we didn't just try to front run the fake out of this this money flow, right? Assuming it's going to come back up into the green, we just took it at face value, and what happens? We do indeed get that bigger drop to the downside. Money flow very, very, very rarely lies, guys. Even when it fakes out, it's not very often. I always bring up this example back here where we got a fake out into the red and then another big move into the green for a massive rip to the upside. But this was, we actually predicted this as a fake out based off where we were in the cycle. However, it's a very risky thing, right? You're basically trading against the TA, which is not what I like to do. So based off the money flow here, guys, we do have to be very careful for lackluster retracements, lower highs, and continuations down. I have to be honest with you guys, especially with those higher time frame bearish divergences. So shout out to anybody who's been watching these live streams, guys. With those high time frame bear divs, like it's very, I don't want to say, it doesn't make it a guarantee, but it's just like, what happens, right? You get that big drop to the downside. In hindsight, it's like, hey, you had those high time frame bear divs, like not that unlikely with that money flow coming out on the daily. And we come right down to the key levels. So what happens if this is going to be a lower high and we are just going to come in and get another drop to the downside, which again, hopefully we don't have to see, but based off the money flow, right, we have to take it as a serious possibility, right? It's definitely in the cards here based off money flow. Obviously, your value area low sitting down here at 90,556. I would have loved, guys, to come down here and physically tap that value area low. However, we didn't. So if we do put in this lower high and we continue back down, value area low 90,556 is going to be a key level. And then once we start losing this, guys, we have some interesting levels down below, right? As you guys know, we've been looking at $85,000 as a very key level of support, as it really is our macro range low, and we actually do have a ton of liquidations sitting below this level. So if we were to get another drop to the downside here and we lose another, bonus key level to look at here, guys, is going to be that $87,000 daily. It's the oh my god, please bounce here level. We've had this on the chart forever. If we did wind up coming down here, this is a big level to watch, and this is kind of our last opportunity to get a bounce before we're probably going to come down and take those liquidations into this much scarier level between about $85,000 and $80,000, where we not only have a ton of liquidity, the macro range low, we also have our major anchored VWAP, golden pocket retracement, and 2 daily naked points of controls. So this is a huge level of support. I really would prefer not to see price come down here. If we do break down, I would much prefer to bounce off that $87,000 daily. However, with all this liquidity sitting below, I wouldn't be surprised if we are going to see some another big liquidation event come down here. Probably a lot of liquidity. Most of the visible liquidity is sitting below 85K, but I wouldn't be surprised if we had liquidity below 87 as well. So it might cause that big liquidation. Everybody's saying, oh my god, imagine if they're saying this is the start of the bear market, guys. Imagine what people are going to say if we get that drop down to 80K. Now, this will be a much more suspicious situation, right? Like, I am not thinking on this drop back down to the value area low, like, oh my God, bear market, right? To me, this is consolidation, right? Bitcoin is clearly going sideways here. No major structure was broken, especially with this big wick here. It actually doesn't look that bad, to be quite honest. It's a big liquidation event. But that's why you got to keep your emotions in check in this market, guys. Everybody, it was late last night, I actually saw that Ben Cowan did a live stream, and I just checked in to see what he was saying, because Ben Cowan's a super smart dude, and he looks at a lot of stuff that I don't look at. So I went in there, I checked it out, and his whole chat was like, it's gonna dump tomorrow, the bear market's here, right? And what happens? We wake up, massive bounce to the upside. It just goes to show you can't really pay too much attention to the emotional sentiment of the community, right? Because 99% of people, the masses, typically get it wrong. So when you see everybody like kind of capitulating, saying it's all over, typically when you're gonna get a pretty big bounce to the upside. So if we lose this range low, these are still the key levels, guys. 87,000, please, for the love of God, I hope we bounce off there. If not, things could get very scary as we come attack that liquidity down below. Let me see if I can actually pull up those liquidation heat maps really quickly for you guys. Bada boom. Let me check in on chat as well. Let's see here. Bada boom. Shout out to Captain Kirk. Thank you so much for the super chat, Cap. Said, Frankie, you never let us down. You're always here when we need your insights. Love you and the Mafia fam. Shout out to Captain Kirk. Thank you so much for that super chat. Show Captain Kirk, or Sergeant Kirk, as I like to call her, some love in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, thank you, Cap. I appreciate you so much. We got Dave Digital and Crypto Billy in the chat now. What is going on, guys? Welcome in. Let's see. Is the macro value area high not guaranteed to be hit in case of a macro money flow is bearish? Shout out to Aziz. Yeah, I mean, listen, nothing is ever going to be guaranteed in trading, right? Or just technical analysis in general. But the idea here is, if we are going to come up and put in a lower high and continue down, this would be a big level of resistance to look for that lower high to come in my own personal opinion. So shout out to Aziz. That's a great question. Let's see. 30% is the norm in a bull market, but still scary. Shout out to ADD Dad. How you doing, bro? Welcome in. Yes, absolutely, right? That's another thing that a lot of people... Can we take a look at ADA? Shout out to yes, we totally can. We're going to take a look at the alts in just a minute. Yeah, guys, that's the other thing as well, right? Like, I see the sentiment, like, it really is crazy. Like, I'm sitting there laughing to myself. Like, people think this is the bear market. And again, could 109,000 be the top, right? Like, maybe, right? Like, it's not impossible. Again, that's not really the camp that I fall into. Again, even if we drop down lower, I still wouldn't necessarily be calling for an instant bear market. But people get very scared, right? You have to understand a lot of people entered this market, especially in altcoins. I think that's really where a lot of the pain is coming from. I don't really think people get that scared because, like, even if you bought the top here, like, that's not really, at least for crypto, right? That's not like that crazy volatility for Bitcoin, right? But obviously the altcoins are getting absolutely slaughtered. So I am going to cover those as well, guys. But it is just crazy, right? So like if this was the bear market, right? Like you must have felt like this was the bear market as well, right? This was a 17% drop to the downside. What did this wind up being? This was about 17%, right? So this is the bear market. This is the bear market, right? And then back here, like we had more 30% drop to the downside. Even this is normal in a bear market. And this is not where you want to get shaken out of your bags, at least in my own personal opinion, right? Again, 109 could be the top. Not impossible, especially with those high time frame bear divs. But again, that's not the camp that I fall in right now. The charts are not showing from a structure standpoint that anything crazy has been cracked yet. So again, my sentiment remains the same here, right? It's just volatility. And this is the beauty of the volume profiles, guys. Like, part of the reason why I'm able to stay so calm in these drops to the downside, it's like everyone's panicking, running, oh my God, everyone's panicking and running around, and I'm just kind of sitting here like, all right, well, we went back down to the bottom of the range. We're essentially just going sideways, right? Like we're at even yesterday, we were at prices that we were at in the beginning, January 13th, right? So it's not like we dropped down to 2023 prices or anything like that. This is just volatility. This is crypto, right? This is crypto. Like welcome to crypto, guys. Like the shakeouts are here. And it's not, it's not uncommon to see these 20, 30% drops, even like 36% drops to the downside in a bull market. It is not, it's to be expected, right? Especially with especially when they're very high liquidation, when they're liquidation driven, right? Like it's even more of there was a bull market washout, right? Everybody's longing it to 100, I always say $100,000, but we're already at 100K basically. But everyone's trying to long it to $1 million. Like it has to wash out those liquidations to, get that bigger move to the upside. So, could this be the bottom? Potentially, right? But again, we have to keep in mind that money flow is coming out on the daily with those high time frame bear divs. So we got to be careful around those key levels of resistance. But those are the levels I'm looking at, guys. Like just simply put, like this, between 101.2 and 100,000, or I would say, let me see, 101.2 all the way down to about $100,000. If we are going to put in a lower high there, that is a high risk area to put that lower high in and continue back to the downside. Value area low is not necessarily guaranteed. We could look for local trades on the lower time frames on the way down. But if we did get that bigger drop, value area low is key support. Then you have that $87,000 daily. And then again, hopefully we can bounce there. We lose that. Things could get ugly here, guys, because it's just like liquidations could just be like... right? And that could be like super, super, super scary for a lot of people. But I don't think, right? Like there is a possibility that you could do something like this, right? If we did wind up getting that bigger drop down, something like that to come retest that macro golden pocket before getting that bigger rip to the upside, come wash out all this liquidity down here. Could be a possible scenario there, right? But we'll have to reassess the situation once we get down there. If we get down there and there's no bullish signals, guys, things could get a little suspicious. And that's kind of where I would first, once we start approaching the 786 daily naked point of control down here, this is kind of where you start to think like, hey, I don't know, this is getting a little bit suspicious. But you have to understand, guys, crypto is, any market is a lot harder to call, like move by move. Than I think people realize, right? Like you have to understand, like even if the bull market is going to continue, right? We could see something like this, and then like people think that it's a bear market for quite some time. This could take a lot of time to get a move down there, and people are thinking, well, it's the bear market, and then we get the rip to the upside. You have to look back towards things like this, right? Now, again, I do call this the top of the 2021 bull market before that big 55% drop to the downside. But what happens, right? Everyone's calling bear market. We come back up for another sweep of the highs here. Now, again, I would kind of say they were right here if they were calling this the top, but they did come back up and then swept the highs and got the bigger drop into the bear market. But even like in March of 2020, right? Like everyone's like, oh my God, it's all over. It's all over. Like we could get these shocks in the market, these unexpected events that come in that are really just shakeouts. And again, I always talk about, this March 2020 dump. Everybody knows what was going on there. This would have been the worst time to get scared out of your bags. And there was good reason to get scared out of your bags here, in my opinion, right? Like this is a very real thing. We're getting the drop to the downside. This was a very real life event that was happening. People were locked in their houses. Like this was a very tangible thing that was happening in life. Like this was not just some kind of like fake news type, just some kind of rumor or something, right? This was like a real thing that affected a lot of people's lives. But what happened, right? At that point, what was this drop to the downside? It was essentially a high time frame 786 retracement into that macro Fibonacci retracement, right? Come up to the weekly. It was essentially just that 786 tap before that bigger move to the upside. So you got to be careful of this stuff in a bull market, right? I saw a lot of people last night were saying like they sold their bags, and I'm like, again, like maybe you sold the top, but or not the top, but you sold right after the top came in. But again, based off what we're seeing here, unless we get another black swan event, and even with a black swan event, guys, with a big drop to the downside, it doesn't mean the bull market's over, right? It could just be like 2020, where you have the black swan event come in, and then you just wind up going back into that big parabolic bull run. So it's really, really interesting situation here. But from a structural standpoint, guys, we're just still consolidating here within our larger range, which is nice because it gives us kind of like that peace of mind to just know what is going on, right? Whether the top is in or not, you just have this beautiful consolidation to understand like what's going on, right? Like it's really nothing to worry about here until we start breaking major structure, which has not happened yet, just to be clear. So that's what I'm looking at here on Bitcoin, guys. Those are the higher time frames to higher time frame levels to the downside. And if you take anything away from this live stream, guys, please, and I see you guys in the chat before the live stream starts. Everybody using these volume profiles, just like amazed at how they work. Please learn about the volume profiles. Check out the beginner series. We have tons of tutorials. Check it out because this is an absolutely undefeated trading tool. Let's see. Can we explain why you're against the entry at the POC given the low is in? Shout out to Aziz. I don't know exact. You mean like if we were to retrace into the POC to look for a long position? I would say, to be honest, if this is what you're talking about, I would be honest. Like, I don't think that would be a horrible like local trade entry, right, for a potential continuation to the upside, right, because we're back above the POC. So here's the thing, right? If we had the full rotation from the value area high, we get stuck underneath it. We can't get back out. We look for that continuation down to the value POC, right? We get the bounce. We get stuck underneath it. Then we get the drop down towards that low. For the full rotation of the range, it's definitely, as long as you're above this POC, right, and you don't lose it, there is a possibility to get another ride up to that value area high. So I wouldn't say I am against that. For a local trade entry, right, I would be very careful here, like in my opinion, right, if we were to come down there and I were to take an entry down here towards that POC with confirmations, I would definitely, look at this value area high golden pocket as a major target. And then, if we did wind up coming up there and we started getting bearish confirmations, I may look to close that trade in full to look for a new short position back down to the POC and then finally look to hit that value area low. And if we come up there and there's no bearish confirmations, you could still hold a portion of that long position to maybe get a ride up to that 786 and potentially beyond. So I wouldn't even say I'd be against that at all, right? As long as you have some kind of confirmation down there to look for a long, I don't think that would even be a bad place to look, right? Because at this point, if you are going to put a local higher low in, POC, golden pocket 786, like where would we look for that higher low to come in at? I would probably be looking between, right in this zone, right? POC, golden pocket 786, potential area to put in a local higher low, and then look to ride that back up to the value area high. Now, again, I would need to see some confirmation into this zone. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'd be against that at all. I think that's shout out to Aziz. I think it's actually not a bad place to look. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Shout out to Corey. He says, yo, what up, Frankie? Shout out to you, man. Welcome in. And yeah, let's see. Yo, shout out to Nikki94 Boo said, oh my God, I FOMO bought every single altcoin. Shout out to Nikki. Let's get it. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so let's take a look at the altcoins because obviously, guys, the altcoins are obviously have gotten hammered here. So that's what I'm looking at on Bitcoin. If anybody has any questions, drop them in the chat. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. But that's what we're looking at, guys. Key level of support to the downside. If we put in a lower high and continue down, value area low, then we have the daily at 87.3, and then that's kind of where we get into that sticky situation. But we don't have to talk about that until we wind up losing this range low. So right now, this is our main range. If we break above the value area high, I will simply be looking not only at the 786 sitting at 103.130, but also looking at this scalp range above, right? You could even look at this as somewhat of a confluent level of resistance here. Bada boom, bada bing, right? So get above this golden pocket, get above the golden pocket value area high. This is your next major target or key level where we could put in that lower high and continue back down. But once you get above that 786, that's where I would look for a move back up towards the high of that range and then reassess the situation as price action develops. But yeah, there you go. 2 key levels of resistance and then the levels of support, everything I just went over. But real quick, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these altcoins. Now, obviously, guys, pretty crazy on Ethereum talking about the danger zone. unfortunately, ETH wound up coming into the danger zone and cracking that level, guys. And what did we expect here? If Ethereum were to lose its macro value area low, we looked at this level forever. If we were able to get underneath here and get that continuation to the downside, this was that last level of support that, if broken, would cause a large drop to the downside. And to be honest, basically the large drop to the downside, bringing us back down to about $2,700 to $2,600. And here is Ethereum at about $2,700 now. Obviously, this was a massive liquidation wick, which caused a lot of that heavy selling pressure all through this zone. But look where we settle, guys, right in that $2,600 to $2,700 zone that we were looking at, understanding that this was a key high volume node. And if we pull up our visible range volume profile here, you can see we had that massive volume gap bringing us down towards this high volume node down here at about 2,600. So we knew, hey, if you lose this high volume node, probably going to get a quick move through this gap, targeting down between $2,600 to $2,700. And here we are, right? Like, absolutely insane. And again, obviously big capitulation down on those liquidations, but that's just kind of liquidation volatility, and that's kind of where we wind up settling right in our zone here. So, pretty insane, right? Like, using those low volume gaps to find out, not only where price could go, but potentially where price could, start getting an aggressive drop to the downside. And you can see just absolutely no support through this entire low volume gap, just quick move to the downside through that entire gap. And, we kind of compared that to the previous price action, right? Quick moves up oftentimes lead to quick moves down. And that's just, played out absolutely perfectly and got quite scary down there, bringing ETH pretty dang close to $2,000. But now we have recovered here sitting at our key zone. So as of right now for Ethereum, we are now just within our local volume profile here. Let me pull up the 2 hour. So you have let me mark out this POC so we know where it is. You got your POC sitting right here. Ethereum just sitting within its local profile here. And again, it's just a simple rotation of value, right? Ethereum ranges around here. Once we impulse out of this range, where are we going to look for price to start to respect? Back into that previous area of balance, which is sitting right down here. So this is definitely, I don't know why these are not marked out. Let me just label this value area low, and then we'll label this one value area high. So there you go, right? So right now we are just looking at Ethereum to potentially either respect this range, right? I'll actually take this blue box off as well, just because this has now already been support, right? So we'll take that off, right? 786. This would be an interesting level, or this would be a nice level to reclaim on a higher time frame, but I'm going to hide that for now. So right now, this is the range that we're looking at on Ethereum, between the value area high at $2,700 or $2,691, all the way down to the value area low at $2,420. So we'll see what happens here. But, if we wind up impulsing back out of here, key levels of support or resistance ahead are going to be pretty clear here, right? Let's pull up the 4 hour time frame, pull it from this wick right here all the way down to the low. So you can see here, bada boom, right? You have your value area low of the previous range at $3,000. Obviously going to be a huge level to watch. But you have your 786 high volume node right here, and then you have your golden pocket retracement sitting right here as well. So this would be the next Fibonacci retracement that I'd be looking at. If we come up in here with bearish confirmations, may be able to get the rejection back into the range, back to the POC, and then potentially back down to the low. If we rip up above that, this would be the next area I'd be looking at, between 2890 and 2919. And then once we get above that, your value area low is your next key level. Now, let me pull up, let me just mark out some dailies here. We have a daily right here. Boom. And then we have, that's pretty much it, at least locally. So, these will be the next key levels. So really at about $2,750, and then to get above that, about $2,900, and then get above that $3,000. Once you flip that $3,000 level, we could potentially look for a bigger continuation to the upside. And I'm going to get rid of this local range here because we've already left that. Whoops. Keep that daily on here. Bada boom, bada bing, bada bang. And let me just see where the confluence is here on this entire golden pocket retracement. Yeah, so your daily golden pocket, this will be another key level to watch as well. Pretty far away from that at this point. But these are all the levels I'd be looking at on Ethereum. And just seeing that drop through the low volume gap, guys, is absolutely insane. So get above here. Be very careful around these resistance levels. But this range could potentially wind up getting respected. Now, I will say this, right? Lower time frame money flow, 30-minute money flow coming to the upside. This will be the best bet for a continuation to the upside, is that 30-minute money flow crossover into the green with our 8-hour green dot about to print here. That would be a nice sign for a potential continuation up back towards that value area low. And again, this Fibonacci and this 786 and golden pocket are somewhat local. So if we were to just kind of get that off the chart real quick, in general, right, if we were just looking at this from a volume profile standpoint, we have to keep in mind those local levels. But, value area low is really the next major level of resistance resistance at $3,000, right? It's your value area low. You have the psychological level of about $3,000 and that golden pocket confluence, right? So I like to show the local level so you guys kind of know where I'd be looking for shorter term day trades. But for the most part, like big, just important levels on Ethereum, golden pocket value area low between $29.28 and $3,000. Get above that, your 786 sits at about 31.54, and then once you get above that, you're just looking to work within back within this larger profile. So we'll see what happens here. Big liquidation wick, 8-hour green dot about to print. Let's see if we can get that 30-minute money flow crossover to continue to the upside here. And I will say this, right? When we look for potential breakouts of a volume profile, guys, we like to see that money flow coming out, right? That 15-minute money flow could indicate that we're likely to see a continuation to the upside. It's not on a fresh printing of a green dot on the 4-hour, but again, that 24-minute and 30-minute money flow might be indicating a continuation to the upside. So if that money flow crosses into the green, we would anticipate higher lows and continuations to the upside, potentially targeting these bigger resistance levels at around I would say about $2,900 to $3,000. So that would be kind of what I'm looking at here on Ethereum in the long term. Now coming up to our higher time frames, obviously, Ethereum has had its money flow in the red for a little while now, right? We have that daily money flow crossover all the way back here, which gave us the idea that we could potentially see lower highs and continuations down, which is why we were looking at this at these lower targets at around $2,600 to $2,700. So hopefully we could just sweep these lows, hold above here, and then get that continuation back up into this range and get a move back up to the high. But we will assess this as price action develops. But those are the local levels I'm watching in the meantime. Let's see here. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's see. What is the name of the money flow indicator? Shout out to Marcelo. That is Market Cipher B. We do have a 20% discount if you're interested in checking it out. But if you can find a better deal somewhere else, please go get that. But if you are looking for a discount, we do have about we have 20% off using discount code MCFrank20. But let's go ahead and shout out to Kevin, said, why are you streaming 7 hours and earlier? 7 hours earlier than normal. Well, Kevin, we got some volatility in the market, brother. We got to cover the price action. Shout out to Kevin. Welcome in, bro. Shout out to Hack, says, caught along on ETH at 31.80. Yes, sir. Shout out to Hack. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it. Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's continue on. Axelar is so cheap right now. Dropped like 7K last night. GFI cheap too. Yeah, so let's go ahead and continue on here, guys. I want to mustard context. Shout out to Victor. Shout out to you, man. Yeah, maybe we will run those kind of fun. And shout out to Nikki94 Boo. If you're still in here, we do have you marked down, so you will be getting your Solana for guessing that I had a bottle of mustard on my desk. You will get your Solana when we do the giveaways. I believe on Friday they're going to send it out with all the giveaway winners. Shout out to Darren said, I'm here now. You can start over. Shout out to Darren does things, guys. All right, we got to start all over here. ICP, yeah, we could take a look at ICP. But real quick, guys, I want to take a look at Solana. Obviously, Solana, we had all our key levels of support, having our golden pocket down below. As you guys know, I'll get rid of this these local levels. Obviously, we were kind of just bing-bonging sideways here on Solana, right? Just kind of bing-bong, right? Looking at the front run of this POC as a little bit suspicious for a potential drop back down to this key level where we had our golden pocket point of control. We come down, we tap that level. We do not get the bounce. And what happens once you cannot hold that golden pocket, guys, /POC? Where are you going to be looking for price to go next? Very simply, you're going to be looking to come down towards that value area low 786. Now, obviously, again, huge liquidations giving you a big drop down below that level. However, we have come back up and perfectly reclaim that value area low, guys. Insane, right? Big deviation down below the low. We flip that value area low back to support, and now we are moving back up. So very, very simple kind of analysis here on Solana. As long as we hold above that value area low at 190.79 could be our journey, right, up to that POC. And again, I'm going to get rid of this golden pocket as we've already slammed through there, right? So we have the POC above. If we do continue up, next key level on Solana is going to be about 216. And then hopefully with, again, our 45-minute, 30-minute money flow starting to work its way back to the upside here. If we could get that 8-hour green dot, which is already confirmed on Solana, unfortunately. But for Solana, really what I would look at is the 12-hour green dot with our 45-minute money flow crossover into the green. That's our best bet of getting that continuation back to the upside into that point of control at 217. Flip that POC. I'd be looking for the bigger move up towards about 246 at that value area high. Now, again, guys, we do have to keep in mind that we could potentially continue to put in lower highs and continue to the downside as we do have our money flow in the red on the daily here. Again, this is a nice wick to the downside, clear liquidity grab back inside the range. We could look for at price in the context of our volume profile. However, with the daily money flow coming or being in the red, 2-day money flow kind of starting to come out here. 3 days kind of flat, 4 days kind of flat. 5-day money flow, generally coming out, but, really hard to analyze locally there. I would look for the continuation up off that green dot on the 12-hour with a 45-minute money flow crossover. 1-hour money flow trying to work its way up as well. So maybe we can get a continuation up, but we do have to be careful, guys, for those lower highs to come in before putting in lower lows. So this POC golden pocket confluence is going to be absolutely key, right? Because if we get up there, right, we can't get above it. That could be the lower high before dropping back down. And we'll talk about some lower levels for Solana in just a minute. But this is definitely going to be your next key level of resistance, right, within the profile. Golden pocket, POC, get above that. You have your 786 sitting here at about 229. And if you do not, right, if you get above the golden pocket POC and you do not get a rejection from the 786, that's where I would probably look for the rotation all the way back up to the high. This is that doorway to the value area high at 246. Get it on your chart. You got to be looking at these levels. So yeah, that's what I would look at. And again, you can always pull up this local profile that we were looking at recently, right, as context. You can see that 786 is also confluent with your value area low. Bada boom, right? So those are kind of your two major key levels to the upside, right? Get above the POC, look to come into the value area low 786, get above here. You can at least look for the fill of this local range, but at that point, you could easily get that move up into your macro value area high. So that's what I'd be looking at, but if we put that lower high in, guys, could be looking, right, as that higher time frame money flow comes out. And again, I don't think this is probably going to happen like today or tomorrow if it does happen, because you do have lower time frame money flow coming up. 90-minute, come on, 90-minute money flow trying to make a little bit of a reversal here. You do have bullish divergences into that value area low, so that continuation is not impossible. Daily VWAP also starting to roll back over here as well. So, local retracements back to the upside would not be unlikely in my opinion. We just have to be careful for those lower highs and continuations down. Now, the question is, if we continue to the downside, how low can we go for Solana, guys? And I'll be honest, next key zone I would be looking at would simply be back down towards this macro volume profile. And I know, guys, it sounds crazy to be looking at $143 for Solana, but just understand, right, based off the analysis, if we put in those lower highs in our high probability area where those lower highs likely would come in at, if we do put that in, the drop and break of structure to the downside would likely bring us back down towards that value area high golden pocket confluence where we got that bounce from on the last big drop to the downside before a massive pump. This would be that next key level of support, sitting at about 169.33 and 162.77. And then once we get stuck underneath here, we could look for that drop down to the 786 at 142, call it 142.24, right? And then at that point, you would really, really hope to get the bounce there. But if you lose it, you're just within your profile. You have two dailies and the value area low sitting down here in beautiful confluence as well. So just so you guys have those next key levels. And again, this is very similar to what we looked at on Bitcoin, guys. Like, I'm not saying we have to come down here. I'm not saying I want to come down here. I'm just saying if we do get that lower high, which now you guys know the key levels to look at for that lower high to come in, right between here, if we're going to get that bigger drop down, you got to have these levels on the chart, guys. You must have them on the chart because you never know. It seems unlikely, right? Just like on Bitcoin, these lower levels seemed so unlikely or just kind of crazy to be looking down towards $90,000 for Bitcoin. But all it takes is one bearish news event, right? And people say, right, it's so funny. I always say, show me the charts, I'll tell you the news, right? And, a lot of people say the tariffs war, is what caused the drop to the downside. Now, is that true? Obviously, partially it is true. However, you tell me, why did we dump here, Frankie? Well, just go back and watch the live streams from last week. We had the high time frame bear divs, money flow coming out, very, very clear signs on the chart for a potential continuation down. And, you just, fill in the news. It could have been a black swan event in any form or fashion. But at the end of the day, those bearish divergences were there. That money flow was coming down. And we could see this stuff on the chart before the news comes out 100%. Every time we see a big move like this, guys, there is always, right, like whether it's bullish news or bearish news. Now, sometimes the TA is just wrong once in a while as well. But for the most part, right, like when we're looking, like, I don't know, guys, like money flow coming out on the higher time frames or money flow coming up on the higher time frames, eventually we do get that to play out, but it is normally accompanied by some kind of news event, whether it's bullish or bearish. Bing bong the long. Shout out to Jesse. Let's go. Shout out to you, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you, bro. Welcome in. Good to see you in here. I'm sure you've been in here for a while, but showing some face there. Shout out to Jesse. Welcome in, man. Elon Musk said, "Hi, Frankie, show me the bull. Show me the bull." Well, if we look at the chart here, you guys can see this is a very, very clear bull pattern here. We do have our ear number 1, ear number 2, and we also do have the horns here as well, right? So that is the bull. This is the bull eyes, right? There you go, and you can kind of draw its head here, right? It's kind of looking like an elephant now, but you have those nice horns here, right? Bada boom. And then you got the body down here. So there is your bull pattern, guys. This is just $1 million incoming. shout out to Elon Musk, baby. There is your bull. There is your bull. Can we check Prime? Yeah, shout out to Captain Kirk. We could check Prime. I do want to check in on XRP and ADA, and then I'll take some requests from the chat. Let's see. Let's see. Shout out to Asher, dude. Welcome in. Dawn says that's good news. That's the best elephant drawing I've seen. Oh man, I guess I don't have a future of being an artist, guys. Unfortunately. Shout out to Rag Capital. That's a reindeer pattern if I've ever seen one. Shout out to Alex. But yeah, let's go ahead and I want to jump into XRP, guys. Let's take a look here now. XRP. Look at that candle, guys. Look at that daily candle. The volatility is here, guys. Like, this is crypto. This is the epitome of crypto. Massive liquidations, massive wicks. This is it. But daily money flow back in the red here. So my sentiment overall as of right now, guys, like, I am bullish on Bitcoin. Like, let me just make that clear. I know the drops are scary, but I am still bullish on Bitcoin. Now, I'm not one of those people that's just going to be like, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. We're definitely going to 150K, 200K. Everybody hold their bags. You have to make your own financial decisions. But in my own personal opinion, I am bullish on Bitcoin here. And you might say to yourself, why is that, right? Well, technically, we have not broken any significant market structure. And as a technical analyst, like, there is no reason for me to be bearish here other than the money flow coming out. But we have to wait for that money flow coming out to give us a significant break of structure for things to start looking bad. So I am still bullish on Bitcoin here, guys. And you zoom out to the weekly, like, still bull market territory here, right? Like, we're still just totally okay here as far as Bitcoin. Now, obviously, the alts are a little bit different. Some of the alts are holding up pretty good. Like, obviously, XRP got the big drop to the downside. However, let me unhide the TA here. Obviously, XRP getting the bigger drop to the downside, but we did get a very, very, very fast recovery, just based off all those liquidations. And let me see here if I can... let me just pull up these liquidations really quickly, just on Bitcoin real quick before I continue on Ethereum here, guys, just to show you, right, on this liquidation heat map, you guys can see we did have all this liquidity starting at about 96K, and essentially all that liquidity got washed out of the market. You can see these hot yellow boxes marking out where there are likely liquidation levels and stop losses sitting in the market. Once you hit these, that's where you see those big liquidation wicks start. That's why looking at the charts can really help you kind of take a step back and take a deep breath and understand why the big drop is happening, right? It doesn't just mean like, oh my God, everybody's selling, the whales are selling all their Bitcoin and, we're going to zero, right? We just have a lot of liquidity here. And we know once you tap into those liquidation levels, when you get stopped out of a long position or liquidated out of a long position, it creates a market sell, which is what causes those large wicks to the downside. And you can just see this perfectly shown here on the liquidation heat map, right? You just have those liquidations, you start tapping into them, and then you get that giant drop to the downside. Now, just to point this out, guys, the next significant area of liquidity does start around $85,000, which is why I talk about on Bitcoin specifically, that $85,000 level being an extremely, extremely key level right here where all those liquidations are sitting below. So if we crack that, you could see a very, very similar thing happen, right? You could see here, once we lose that POC, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. So like in the premium Discord, just letting the members know for the next bigger positions, I'll be looking down here, right? And these are the key levels that we were looking at. We were looking for confirmations down here for the long positions. However, just letting everybody know, right? The POC of that previous macro range is super important to hold. If we lose that level, in my opinion, we could get a bigger dump down to the value area low, which is which would be a pretty big drop down to about $91,000 to $90,000. Looking at this as Bitcoin was still hovering around $102,000, guys, understanding that not only is that POC a key level that could cause the bigger drop down if lost, because the value area low below is at 90 to 91K, but also understanding we have all that liquidity sitting below that level, which could cause that very fast aggressive drop into those levels, right? So we were looking at this all the way on the 28th, understanding the key importance of that POC, not just saying that, hey, this is a key level of support that we have to hold, but understanding why that would cause not only a continuation down towards the value area low, but why it would be very fast. And it has everything to do with the fact that we had that liquidity sitting here, and just the fact that once you lose the POC, you're expecting the value area low to come in next anyway, right? So just to show you guys kind of how we look for this stuff to play out. But Let's jump into XRP here, right? XRP getting a bounce from the lower value area. And as you guys know, right, we had our upper value area here. I know a lot of people were looking at this as a bull flag. I prefer to look at it as a volume profile. We wind up losing the range. Once you lose this range, where are you looking for price to come down and respect? Well, you're simply going to be looking down towards your previous value area, which was sitting down here between about $2.14 and $2.60. And what happens? You get the drop down. You get back into your volume profile. You cannot get back above. You bearishly retest. You get a move down towards the POC, which was confluent with that 786. And then you wind up losing that POC. You could even see the perfect bearish retest of that level. Right? These are not levels that we set up right before the live stream to show, right? We've been looking at these for quite some time. What happens? You get back down below that value area high, bearish retest, can't get back above, drop down to the POC, bearish retest on the POC. At that point, you're looking for a drop down to the value area low, and then you deviate slightly, get back into the range, you get the move. Let me just grab this level here, bada boom, right? You get a drop down to the value area low, flip it to support, back up to your POC, and now we've gotten back above the POC, back into the value area high. So at this point, guys, for XRP, if we take a look here, really the goal here for XRP, in my own personal opinion, would be to get above this golden pocket. I'm going to get rid of this, right, because this was prior support, now ran through. So let's grab that off the chart, and I will... So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and grab this off the chart here, and right now you do have your golden pocket retracement and your value area high confluence here. This could potentially give you some turbulence. I'm going to turn this purple for resistance, right? So very similar to Bitcoin. If we get out of this volume profile, you got to get above this golden pocket, and then you have your 786 sitting up here. This is where we do have to be a bit careful, guys, for that potential lower high to come in. Come on, Market Cypher, because we did get the fresh money flow crossover on the daily. This would indicate technically that the trend is more likely to continue to the downside, right? Now, again, could this be the washout before a massive rip up and this money flow can fake back up into the green? Yes, but we cannot take that. We can't just trade against the TA like that. Or me personally, I don't like to do that. You could try to gamble on this money flow faking out, right? But if we did that on Bitcoin and you just kind of gambled on that money flow faking out back into, back up into a bigger green wave, you would have gotten absolutely wrecked, right? We took this at face value, saying this is a bearish sign as money flow comes down and is continuously trending towards the downside. And what happens? The trend indeed does put in lower highs and continuations to the downside. So it's the same thing on XRP. We have to be careful here with that money flow now crossing over into the red. This will give me the bias, at least as of right now until proven otherwise, that you could potentially put in lackluster retracements to put in lower highs and continue down. So first key level of resistance is going to be the golden pocket value area high between 270 and 261. Get above that. It's a little bit of a bigger range here, but 786 kind of isolated up here, sitting at about 290. If you don't put the lower high in at the golden pocket, it is somewhat probable to put it in at the 786. Once you get above that 786, that's where we can look for a continuation back into our range, get above this value area low POC, and come back up to the upper value. But for now, you got a lot of work to do here. You got to get above the POC, the value area high golden pocket. You got to get above that 786. So this is your first major level of resistance. If we can get above here, I would look, once you flip this to support, I would look for a pretty likely move towards that 786 at about 290. And then once we get up there, we can reassess the situation. But again, just same thing, right? Massive liquidations, but the volume profile holds up. We get back above the low. And even if you come down to a lower time frame, like you can just see how beautiful these volume profiles, guys, are. I know like you come up to a higher time frame, it's like, or even on the 5 hour, it's pretty clean, right? Wick down below, you basically SFP the value area low, and then where does price go next? Right up to the value area high. Remember, guys, with the volume profiles, once you reclaim that value area low, there's about an 80% chance that price will refill that whole volume profile in full, right? Up to the POC, up to the value area high. And especially when you have your golden pocket confluence, after a big drop like this, you would look for a retracement into your golden pocket, which again, just lines up perfectly with this volume profile. And you just hop right above it, flip it to support, right to the POC, and then right back up to the value area high. So, very similar to the other coins that we just looked at. 24-minute money flow coming up to the towards the zero line. 30-minute money flow looking for a crossover into the green. And then that 8-hour green dot is now printing. So if we can get that 30-minute and 24-minute money flow crossover, that is the best bet, in my opinion, to see a continuation up here into that 786 and potentially and hopefully into that value area low POC sitting closer to about, between 304 and 310. So that's what I'd be looking at on XRP, guys. All right, let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. 24-hour stream incoming. Shout out to Jesse, baby. Let's go. Let's do a 24-hour stream. Tom Crown in the chat. Shout out to Tom. Said Frankie with the afternoon delight. Shout out to Tom Crown. Welcome in, bro. Thanks for hanging out. Speaking of not only goated trading tools, but goated trading YouTubers. Shout out to Tom Crown. Let's go. Show Tom Crown some love in the chat, baby. We should make a Tom Crown. Drop some Crown emojis in the chat if you love Tom Crown as much as we do. Let's go. What's going on, bro? Welcome in. ADA Daily Candle is scary. What a bounce. Yeah, so let's jump into Cardano, and then Cap, we will take a look at Prime for you. No problemo. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Let's take a higher time frame. Let's see here. I'll get rid of this position. I don't even really know what this was. I think this was something we were looking at on the live stream. Apparently got wrecked. But let's take a look here. Bada boom, bada bing. Actually, real quick, guys. I think we looked at this on the live stream for TIA. As you guys know, on TIA, we were looking at this daily and weekly being an extremely key level of support because we knew if we lost this daily, weekly level that we were going to tap into. And guys, like, this is an educational part of the stream that I really want you. There's those crowns. Drop those crowns in the chat for Tom. Let's get it. Mr. Blake said, I'm suddenly craving Burger King. But yeah, we know, right? Once you lose that daily and weekly, that, there is a very high probability, as we had this massive low volume gap highlighted on this white box here, guys. Once we lost that level, we were going to expect a potential very fast drop down where the only other level of very small support that we had was here, sitting here at about 331. And then once we lost that level, right, maybe we didn't even know if it was going to hold up at all because, when you look at this on the VPVR, this is a massive, massive volume gap if we come up to a higher time frame, right? Like, just simply looking at this as a terrifying low volume gap here, knowing once we wind up losing this shelf of volume, again, marked out by this white box, we know we're going to see a very quick move down through this volume gap. And what happens, guys? We came down and filled this volume gap almost to the exact tick. And what happens? You come down to a lower time frame, and you can see how accurate this stuff is, guys. You come down, bounce, bounce, bounce. You get accepted in, absolute nuke to the floor, right into the bottom of that low volume gap. Absolutely insane. Not what I wanted to see on TIA. My TIA bags are now officially underwater here, guys. I've been at basically break even for a while. Now they are officially underwater. But obviously those are long-term spot bags, so I'm not too worried about it. But, we get that fill of that volume gap, which is absolutely insane to see that play out exactly as you would expect. So if you can learn how to use these volume tools, guys, these volume profiles are absolutely insane. Whether you're looking at the volume, visible range volume profile, the fixed range volume profile, which is what I typically use for the ranges. But finding those low volume gaps, guys, can be insane to see how quick that move down is. And I just show that to give you guys confidence in how well TA works, right? People say TA doesn't work. TA is magic. Explain that, right? Explain that. Did I just draw a random box on the chart and just guess that if we broke here, it would go straight down? Or does it have something to do with the TA? I think it has something to do with the TA. Let's see. Shout out to Taking Care of Business says the amount of manipulation is really sad and scary. Yes, I would agree. I would agree with that. But let's go ahead and continue on here. Let's take a look at Cardano. I saw a lot of people asking for Cardano here, so let's take a look, right? So obviously here on Cardano, I will say this, guys. If we look at the larger Golden Pocket 786 retracement, look at that. We just barely came down to that 786 retracement when pulled from this swing low all the way up to the high. If you pull it from the impulse, you came right down perfectly to that 786. Is this worrisome for Cardano? I mean, from a structural standpoint, low, high, higher, low, higher, high, potential higher, low. But again, we come on up to the daily, right? Money flow is in the red, so we still have to be careful here. Again, I am bullish on crypto here in the long term. However, altcoins are in a little bit of a different story here as altcoins are completely getting murdered. And I think a lot of people are feeling, a lot of times I come on this live stream and people are like, we've been dumping for so long. And, we look at Bitcoin, we're like, we're really just consolidating. I think a lot of people are super, super exposed to altcoins right now. I think that's really where a lot of the pain is coming from. But this retracement into this 786 Fibonacci level is, not necessarily worrisome, right? They're like huge wick. Again, a lot of people like to say, where it wicks, it sticks. Oftentimes you will fill those wicks. But as of right now, we wick down to that 786. If we could get back up in here, it could wind up in hindsight being a higher low. But in general, I want to bring up some key levels of support here. I just wanted to point that out, right? Like whether you're looking at this 786 or from the absolute low here before we wound up getting the bigger move, Golden Pocket 786 is technically holding as of right now, right? These are levels we've been looking at, and we are getting the bounce, which is nice to see. But I'm going to take it off the chart just to keep it nice and clean. I'm going to get rid of these dailies and weeklies because they are now tapped. I'll get rid of this daily because that is tapped. Bada boom. We'll get rid of this blue box. So as of right now, I will say this. We could pull up this kind of local volume profile that we have right here. And I'll pull this because if we do continue down, this could be the next. And funny enough, look at that. Also, the value area low of the range, which gives you some nice confluence on that 786, right? Bada boom, right? Nice 786 value area low confluence. But there we go, right? So this would be that next volume profile that I would look at down below. You also had your golden pocket confluence here as well. So if this daily money flow, 2-day money flow comes into the red, if we do wind up just coming up, if we do just wind up coming up, putting in lower highs and continuing back to the downside, I would definitely be looking inside of this range, which is sitting value area low at about 50 cents. POC sitting at about 60 cents, and the value area low sitting at about 67 cents, right? So, again, we're kind of in no man's land here. We don't really have, I'm like maybe, just maybe, you could pull this. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily look at this as kind of a wonky range, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, you're kind of just in between volume profiles at this point, right? You lose this range, where would you be looking down to? You would be looking down to towards your next volume profile. You fill it in full, and now we're just getting that bounce back up. So you're kind of in no man's land here between two volume profiles. But if we do continue up, let me go ahead and get you guys some resistance levels here, which obviously is going to be confluent as a lot of these other alts look. Value area low, golden pocket sitting right here between about 91 and 95 cents. Once we get above that, you could look for a move into the 786. Now, I will say these are going to be, let me actually pull this as well. Yeah, we could reapproach these higher time frame Fibonacci levels when we get there. But as of right now, next major key level of resistance, if we get a bigger retracement, will be this golden pocket value area low. Once we get above there, next major target would be the 786, sitting right here at about $1.02. And then once you get above there, at that point, I would just be looking at this. You could even look at this as somewhat of a range because you have your POC and 786 somewhat confluent there. I'm actually going to, these are definitely going to be your major levels, right? Value area low, POC value area high, but with the confluence on these fib levels, if we do get that continuation up, right? Maybe we continue up, bada boom. If we're able to make it all the way back up to this value area low golden pocket, that'd be the first area where we could potentially put in a lower high. Again, if we're going to see that daily money flow indicate that the trend is likely to continue to the downside, that would be an area. These would be the two major areas I would be looking at first for lower highs to come in. Now, if we continue a more aggressive downtrend, guys, obviously you can pull more local Fibonacci retracements. Now, I could pull these until we're blue in the face. I can give you every single Fibonacci retracement. But again, even if you pull it from this local swing high to the low, very close to that value area low. The only other one I would probably, you could pull like any of these local levels, but the major ones are going to be sitting up here closer to the macro value area low above. So yeah, that is pretty much what I would look at. But I mean, just, right down to the value area low, we flip this to support. So let's see if we can get that continuation up. Again, 30-minute money flow coming up towards the green, towards that 0 line. And then our 8-hour green dot is printing. So if we get that 30-minute money flow crossover, we'll see. I'll mark this out. If we can get this crossover into green moon, right? I wouldn't say moon, but, we'll see if we get that 30-minute money flow crossover into the green. That could be the indication that we could continue that trend back up to these higher prices. So we'll see if we can get up there towards 90 to 95 cents for Cardano, if we can wiggle our way back up there. But watch that 30-minute money flow, just like a lot of the other alts. Shout out to Jesse, said, Frank, you still going live for me tonight? Absolutely, brother. We're just doing a little bit of extra sauce here. Shout out. We'll still be live at 5:45. Absolutely. A lot of alts back at September, October range. Bye. Shout out to Jets. Let's get it. Is this a dead cat? Is this a dead cat? Bing bong. Shout out to Eugene. I don't know if it's Eugene or Eugene, but shout out to Sky. Could be that little lackluster bing bong before continuations to the downside. And again, I will be watching that daily money flow, guys. Like anytime we look at this money flow crossovers on the daily, right? You see we had one right here back in the day, right? Back here in 2024, we get the drop out of our range. Money flow comes into the red. At that point, you're going to look for the continuation of your trend to the downside. Come on. Continuation of that trend to the downside. Lackluster pull up, right? Lower high, lower high, lower low. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. You continue that overall downtrend, right? You still get those little bounces. You still get those exciting, oh my God, we're going back up. And then you get the continuation down. That is all based off your higher time frame money flow. So again, if we compare this situation to back here to this situation, it is looking very, very, very similar, right? So we might be able to continue that downtrend if that money flow continues into the red. But right now, locally, let's see if we can get that retracement off that 30-minute money flow crossover into the green. We can take a look at Sui. Shout out to James. Absolutely appreciated. Shout out to Dawn. No problemo. I think you're talking to me. Welcome in. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Set limit orders last night and they filled. Now we're moving up. If we dump again, we could dump lower. And if we do, I'm buying. Shout out to Satoshi Glakamoto locking and loading for those moves back to the upside. Let's go, baby. The danger zone. Shout out to Jesse. I don't know if you were here when we looked at ETH, but yes, the Ethereum danger zone, just like the TIA danger zone, did give us the drop down. And we said that, drop down through that range again. Big liquidation wick, but we were looking for that $2,600 to $2,700 Ethereum if we broke that danger zone. And here we are at $26.98, literally almost $2,700 perfectly. 2x Frankie, shout out to Jedi Skirk. Good luck with that, bro. Good luck with that. We already talked too fast. Now he's watching me in 2x. All right, let's take a look at shout out to Chemistry Bro, said extra saucy, extra sauce. Let's go, baby. Shout out to Chem Bro. Let's see. We'll take a look at Sui. I live in the danger zone. Shout out to Satoshi Glakamoto. But let us go ahead and take a look at let's take a look at Prime, and then we'll take a look at Sui, and then we'll take a couple more requests. I do have to get ready for the premium live stream in just a few minutes here, but all right, let's take a look at Prime. Okay, so all right, Cap, let's take a look at this together. All right, let me give me a second to get my bearings here with our volume profiles. So yeah, you don't have the cleanest ranges here, but this would be one I would watch right here. Let's grab that value area high, value area low POC. Another one you could potentially be looking at. It's somewhat similar, right? And part of the reason why we're respecting this over here is probably from this area of balance right here. And yeah, you can see this is like almost exactly the same. So I'm just going to keep in mind this local profile, mark it out. We got our value area low, we got our POC, we got our value area high. And I'll just fix this box. Bada boom. Okay, so for Prime, you actually have pretty clean ranges here, at least locally. So right now on Prime, what I'd be looking at is the local range that you're sitting in right now. Let me just mark this out real quick. Right, local range that you're sitting in right now is the bottom of this value area low. To be honest with you here on Prime, let me see here, 30-minute. You actually had some, this is kind of textbook, right, with the volume profiles. You come on down to the low with beautiful, clean bullish divergences on the 30-minute. Money flow starts to work its way back up. You reclaim the value area low. Where do you go? Right back up into that POC. So at this moment, very similar to a lot of the other alts, with the 8-hour, green dot confirmed. You also have your and the 30-minute money flow coming up. You also have your 12-hour green dot looking to print with your 45-minute money flow coming up. So as far as right now locally, guys, although my bias right now as far as the daily money flow coming into the red here, again, fresh money flow crossover into the red would make you anticipate potential lackluster retracements to the upside before continuing your trend back to lower prices. You have to keep that in mind. But locally, with the 30-minute, 24-minute money flow coming up, especially the 45-minute and the 1-hour money flow starting to wiggle its way back up here. If you're able to get the 12 and 16-hour green dots and that money flow in the 45 and 30-minute starts come up, you may be able to continue your uptrend above that POC and push into that value area high at about 958 locally, right? If we pull our fibs, let's pull some Fibonacci retracements here and see if we have confluence here. So yeah, I mean, you do have your golden pocket, value area high confluence, a little bit of a bigger zone here, but Yeah, I mean, this would, once you get above that POC, this would be a big zone to look at. 786 sitting up here at about $10.03. But again, if you get that 30 and 45-minute money flow crossover, right, you might get some turbulence here. But if you can continue that uptrend, right, get a push up into this zone, this would be the first major zone of resistance I would be careful on, right? Like, sure, you can reject local fibs, right? You can, local golden pocket. 786 is kind of what we're tapping right now. Is it possible to put the lower high in here? Potentially, but again, with the money flow coming up on the lower time frames, definitely a chance that we could get above that POC and push into the bigger zone. And then at that point, right, we get up here, maybe the daily has reset, maybe we're looking for a new daily red dot or something like that. So, locally, we are testing the POC 786, so you could get a pullback here. And again, could that be the high? Yes, maybe. But again, based off the way the lower time frames look as far as money flow with the, again, 12-hour green dot looking to print, right, 10-hour green dot printing, could see that continuation to the upside into that golden pocket value area high. I smell French fries right now, guys. Somebody might have broken. Mrs. Candles! Mrs. Candles is not here, but it smells like somebody is cooking something, which is kind of alarming. Anyway, let's continue on. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking at, Cap, on Prime here. That would be your local volume profile. Once you get the bigger breakout, though, if you get above your 786 retracement, you do have a bit of resistance up in here, but once you break out of this range, you get above that retracement, I would look to come up to that value area high back at 1172. And again, hopefully this is the low. Is it impossible that this is the low? Absolutely not. But I would definitely be careful based off that money flow again. Let's see. Shout out to Tony D said, I'm in your kitchen making eggs. Shout out to Tony D. Are they fried? I guess I don't know. Is it like deep fried eggs? It smells like French fries. Shout out to Tony D. Let's see. Shout out to Dave Digital said, it's me, Frankie. I snuck in to make you steak and eggs. Yo, shout out to Dave Digital. Let's go. Steak and eggs sounds real good right now. Let's see. Ignore me. I don't know your kitchen too well. Shout out to Wesley. You're just burning stuff in my kitchen. Let's go. Mafia cookout in the Frankie Candles studio kitchen here. Let's go. Let's see. Making grilled cheese and tomato soup, ? As you guys know, it's the only soup that I like. But anyway, let's continue on here. Taking a look at, don't forget to smash that like button, guys, as well, and as well as subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any of these urgent live streams as Bitcoin gets hard bounces from our key levels that we looked at last week. Mustard only. You guys are crazy. All right, let's see. Okay, let's it's your phone charger cooking something. Oh God. But yeah, let's continue on. Guys, hang on one second. I'm going to continue the TA here. We're going to take a look at we'll take a look at Sui here right now. I got to call Mrs. Candles here, guys. I got to call Mrs. Candles. Bear with me here. But let's take a look at Sui. Hi, are you cooking something? Oh, okay. All right. I started smelling like French fries, and I was like, oh, God, I don't know if something's on fire or if Mrs. Candles snuck in. Okay. Thank you. I'm live. All right. Love you. Bye. All right. Shout out to Mrs. Candles. It was indeed Mrs. Candles cooking something, but then she left. She didn't even bring me any food, guys. This is crazy. But anyway, let's take a look at Sui. This is not our Sui chart. Take a look at the Binance chart. Nope, that's not. Yeah, there it is. Okay. All right. Well, here we are, right? And this is, guys, this is why you want to have the volume profiles on your chart, guys. I mean, here we are back inside our volume profile. We slipped the low, and let's see here. So we can get rid of this one, this didn't happen on all the altcoins, but as you guys know, right, like as we look for this move to the downside, again, right, what are we looking at here? As we get the drop down, we get the money flow crossover here on the higher time frames, 16-hour money flow crossover into the red, daily money flow starts to crossover as well. So as we see this money flow coming out, we have to anticipate lackluster retracements, lower highs and continuations down. Where are we expecting that lower high to come in at? Well, very simply put, you're going to be looking from the high to the low. You're looking for that golden pocket 786 retracement, which was also confluent with our anchored VWAP here. And value area low. This would be a high probability area to come up, put in a lackluster retracement for a lower high, and then a continuation down. Now, again, obviously, those liquidations turn this into a massive, massive, massive lower low. But there you go, right? Beautiful retracement into those fib zones just to show you guys why we look at these Fibonacci retracement zones for lower highs, especially in confluence with the anchored VWAP is insane. Before that bigger drop down, we slip the low, get back into our volume profile. So right now, this is your volume profile that you want to be keeping a lookout for. 332 at the value area low, POC is sitting at 343, and then your value area high is sitting at 370. Now I'm going to get rid of these fib retracements because we've already put in the lower high. And I do actually want to pull an anchored VWAP right here. Okay, that's not relevant. So I guess I will keep the anchored VWAP from right here. And we'll pull a new fib retracement from this high all the way to our low. And we do have our 786 retracement here. So if we're able to get above this golden pocket, guys, this is your next major key level to get above on SUI. You get to move back into your range. You come up to the golden pocket. You pull back to the POC potentially. But once we get above that golden pocket, I would look, again, I'm going to take this golden pocket off the chart. Just, we are hitting it right now, but just to clean it up. In terms of the volume profile here, right, you get back above your low. Come on to a lower time frame. Do we flip it to? Yeah, look at this. You get back into your range, you flip it to support, back up to the POC. So, you might get some turbulence here, but as long as you can remain above this point of control, I would look for a potential move into this value area high, 786 retracement, which is your next key level of resistance, and a potential area, if you don't put the lower high in here and continue down, this would be the next potential area to look for somewhat of a rejection, right? At first, I would look for it to be somewhat of a rejection within the terms of this range, but at the end of the day, if that money flow on the daily continues out and we get the bigger drop to the downside for a potential break of structure to much lower prices, this would be the volume profile to do it on, right? So next key level of resistance on SUI, 377 to 386 between the value area high 786. And again, we are tapping that local golden pocket right now. So, this would be your volume profile. And again, coming up to some of these higher time frames, eventually, if we're able to get the 30-minute money flow crossover into the green on a lot of this stuff, right? Same thing on SUI here. Money flow coming up into the green. 8-hour green dot is printing, right? So you get that 30-minute money flow crossover, could give us the local continuation up. But, if this is going to be the low, if this was the last scare before getting another big rip to the upside, by the time we get that push up based off the 30-minute money flow, at that point, we may be able to start printing green dots on the daily, green dots on the 2-day potentially, right? But again, based off money flow, we have to keep the bias potentially for lower highs and continuations down until proven otherwise. So that's what I'll be looking at here on SUI. And then if we get above here, you have your upper profile between 425 and 482. All right, let's see. Shout out to Ian. Yo, welcome in, bro. Good to see you in here. Thank you for the super chat. Said, Frankie, you and the volume profiles are the GOAT. Dump? What dump? Let's go. Shout out to Ian. I love that, bro. I love that. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you so much. And yeah, it really does. It's like, yeah, you dump and then it just gets eaten back up. And that's why you do not want to panic, guys. Again, a lot of what fuels these pushes back to the upside, guys, is everybody sees these drops down, right? And if I pull up those long zones that we've been looking at on Bitcoin, we get those drops down and everyone FOMOs in short, right? Like, you don't want to FOMO in short here, guys. This is support. You have the daily naked point of control. I'm sorry, the week daily naked point of control. You have the value area low. Everyone's shorting into support. And then all those shorts, guys, where are all their stop losses going to be? All their stop losses are going to be above. And then what happens, right? We get the bounce, and then all the shorts start getting wrecked, and then that gives you fuel to the upside, right? Just like everybody who longs, all up here, right? You have people entering longs all throughout this move, right? You get longs, right? And then as these people enter their longs, where are their stop losses going? They are all sitting below. Tons of liquidity sitting down here, and that's why we say, right, especially below that POC, where we looked at that liquidity sitting here at starting at about $96,000, right? Right? POC at 97 or golden pocket POC starting between 96.4 and 97.450. If you start losing this golden pocket, you have all that liquidity sitting down here, all those stop losses, all those liquidations, guys. What happens when you get stopped out of that long position, right? Or liquidated out of that long position? It creates those market sells, giving you that panic wick, that liquidation wick, that long squeeze down to the value area low of the range. And then everybody funnels in short, right? And then they get wrecked to the upside and you get that big bounce back up. It's all a game of liquidity. And when you have those volume profiles on the chart paired with that liquidity, it is absolutely insane. And I think I'm going to make my next tutorial is going to be just like a liquidity overview, right? Like what we look for on liquidity, why it's important, and how we trade it, right? Which is obviously with swing failure patterns. But let's see. Let's take a look here. Shout out to Kembro, said the U.S. crypto czar is having a speech at 2:30. By the way, Mafia, could be more fireworks. Shout out to Chemistry, bro. Please, let's hope for fireworks to the upside. Please, for the love of God. Let's see. Shout out to Kevin, said, how can a doll cook fries? It's actually heat-resistant plastic. Very, very heat-resistant plastic. Shout out to Kevin. All right. Let's see. Shout out to Dave Digital says, let's see. I just feel bad for alt holders. BTC recovers and they just go down. Yeah, shout out to Steady Bug. Yeah, it's, I mean, we could take a look at Bitcoin dominance real quick, guys. I mean, I wanted to touch on this. I actually forgot to bring this up, guys. So here's the thing. As you guys know, on Bitcoin dominance, we were looking at this golden pocket 786 retracement, right? We rejected the golden pocket. That's where we saw alt start to rally. We got the lower high in on our golden pocket 786, and we did not want to break this 786. Otherwise, it was going to be very bad. And obviously, dominance did wind up breaking not only the 786, but back above the golden pocket. And I will say this, unless this was just kind of some kind of like freak wick to the upside and we're just going to dump from here, I will say this, guys. Next major level to be watching on Bitcoin dominance is going to be this major 786, right? It's the same thing as looking at Bitcoin, right? When we look for rejections, we're looking at the golden pocket. We got it. Alt started to rip. That worked out perfectly, right? This was the first key level we were looking at, saying, hey, if we reject here, that might be good for alts. We got that. Played out perfect. Awesome. But now we've come back up and we're starting to try to break above this golden pocket. If we could stay above this golden pocket and continue to push up, guys, the next major level is going to be the 786, sitting at almost exactly 66% on the Bitcoin dominance. So this would obviously not be great for altcoins, but this could be potentially in the cards. Now, again, you know, looking at this wick here, it does look like it might have just been like a wick, and then we might be able to continue down. But I will just say, if we stay above this golden pocket at about 61.46%, you know, could grind up towards that. This is the next key level. Could be a slow grind back up towards that 66% on the Bitcoin dominance, which would obviously be horrific for altcoins. Hopefully we don't have to see that, but I do just want to bring that up because if we get above that golden pocket, you're going to be expecting that 786, and could be pretty bad. Could be pretty bad for altcoins, to be quite honest with you. Money flow coming back into the green on the daily here as well. Last time we had a significant money flow crossover into the green. Obviously, we get the continuation up. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. I forgot to mention that earlier in the stream. Shout out to Crypto Billy, said I'm long on eggs and Frankie Candles. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Let's go, baby. Long those eggs. Long those eggs. Let's see. Don't forget to smash the like button for extra sauce today. Shout out to Darren Dusings. Yeah, guys, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're learning anything or this is helping you out or you're finding any kind of value in this content, guys. Smash that like button. But let's see. Let's see. XRP is on the way up. Okay, let's go ahead and continue on. Shout out to G-Dub, said loving the sauce, Frankie. Happy Monday. Shout out to G-Dub. Welcome in, bro. I appreciate you for being here. But yeah, let's see. What else should we take a look at here? We got Polkadot pulling back down to its macro value area low here with the big wick down to our previous little local range we had down here. But for the most part here, guys, like a lot of everything is just filling its volume profiles. Like all the alts and everything are pretty much at key volume profile levels. Obviously, once we lost this golden pocket on Polkadot, we were looking for that continuation down to the doorway to higher prices, which is that value area low 786. This was technically the doorway to lower prices. This was the doorway to higher prices when we were coming up. But on the way down, it's obviously the doorway to lower prices. We break it. We get those lower prices. But now we are potentially trying to close that daily candle, hopefully by the end of the day, above that value area low, which would potentially give us a continuation up through the profile towards that POC of the range. But at the end of the day, right, you lose that golden pocket, you look to go down towards that value area low 786 zone. Obviously, we got the big wick down, but we're kind of closing or kind of settling within that zone right here. So hopefully we can hold this value area low at about 493 before we're getting another bounce back up. But again, daily money flow in the red here today. Money flow crossing over into the red with a fresh red dot. So we do have to still look at this as a possible, lackluster retracement for lower highs and continuations down. So you got to be careful of that. Local fib zone would be. So let me just change these settings real quick. Bada boom. So yeah, if we do retrace here, I would watch that golden pocket 786 retracement as your next local level of resistance. If you're just going to continue putting in these aggressive lower highs and continuations down, this would be the first major zone between about 547 and 591. That's your first golden pocket retracement. But then once you get above that, I would just look at this in terms of a volume profile, looking for the POC. Flip that POC, look to go to the value area high. But again, money flow, crossovers into the red on a lot of this stuff, guys, is a bit, it's a little bit more of a bearish bias in the long term, right? Not just, we're not just looking for instant drops down, but, those retracement, you got to, I just point back to Bitcoin every single time, right? Like, sure, we can look for bounces, but that money flow on the daily coming out, you have to look for those lackluster retracements and continuations to the downside. And just looking at this too, right? You have your your golden pocket 786. What happens? You come down, you put the lower high in, and you get that breakage structure to the downside locally here into that macro value area low, or just barely front running that macro value area low. So it is, does play out, right? It plays out more often than it doesn't, even if it's not crossing into the red. That's why I love money flow. It's all about the direction of that money flow. It is very directional, and you can kind of front run those lower highs. And I'll be honest, guys, hopefully, please, for the love of God, I hope we are not just entering another situation. This is starting to remind me of the situation back here, right, where we were just bing-bonging around forever, right? Super euphoria. Oh, my God, bear market. Super euphoria. Oh, my God, bear market. And what happens? We just continue to kind of grind sideways, slash to the downside. Hopefully, we don't have to do this for 7 months like we did back here. But, at the end of the day, it's the same thing back here, especially just for Bitcoin, right? Everyone's freaking out, and we're just looking at this as like, this is just consolidation, right? Everyone's like, oh, my God, bear market. Oh, my God, bull market. Oh, my God, bear market. We're just going sideways. But hopefully, we don't have to see that happen. That would be absolutely brutal. Hopefully, maybe we'll see this little bull pennant-ish type formation break to the upside here. 30-minute money flow also, come on, starting to work its way up. Yeah, I would look for that turbulence here, guys, and potentially see the, let me pull up the Bybit chart here. Yeah, as long as we stay above this POC, and I'm going to get rid of these, I'm going to hide these long zones real quick, guys, because obviously we've already come down to them. Bada boom. Weekly is reclaimed. This was a pretty good sign as well. This is a key level to flip to support to get that bigger move up. We'll see, guys. Maybe that was the washout. Again, money flow would call for more downside after putting in lackluster lower highs. But, I mean, we'll have to see what happens. We got to let price action settle here. So it's a crazy volatile, day, 2 days, yesterday and today. Just goes to show you don't want to panic at the lows here, guys. You definitely do not want to panic at the lows. Let's see. Let's see. Tuna is one of the fish I don't like. Shout out to Jesse. I only like sushi tuna, like raw tuna. I don't really like tuna fish, like cooked tuna in a can. I don't love that. For some reason, it freaks me out. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Steady Bug said ETH was $4,100 12 days ago, down 50%. Yeah, the alts are not holding up as good as Bitcoin was. Still got the big bounce to the upside, but yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens here. Was tempted to buy some. I did not, right? I already own a lot of ETH. I was tempted to buy ETH down here, but again, with the money flow crossovers into the red, I'm being cautious of continuations down. Now for Ethereum, if we have the continuation down, right, like, that could be, pretty brutal, right? Because at that point, right, let's say we get the lackluster retracement to the downside and we do wind up breaking structure back to lower prices here, getting into the, single-digit thousands, right? Or not single-digit thousands, but like back down to $1,000 range or back into the 1,000s, right, is what I'm trying to say. This does bring you back to like 2023 prices, which would feel very bear markety for Ethereum. But I don't know. It's like, Bitcoin is holding up much, much better. And I'll be honest, guys, I do think, obviously every cycle is a little bit different. And, with this cycle, right, we had Pump Fund. We have so many altcoins here. And to be honest, like you have to understand, right? There's so many altcoins. I don't even know the number. There's like, there's so many more altcoins now than there has ever been. And now with things like Pump Fund and stuff, they're getting created at a hilariously alarming rate, right? And this sucks a lot of the liquidity out of the market, right? So it's like, it's not like you have all these, super nice, like, utility coins, right? Like the big ones, like we have in previous cycles, right? Like there's like really the big alts that everybody's watching, and then the alt season happens and everybody funnels into those. Honestly, the meme coins and things like Pump Fund have sucked a lot of liquidity out of the utility coins. So we might just see alt season behave a lot differently this year, or this cycle rather, where like all that liquidity goes into the meme coins. And, I'm not saying that we're not ever going to see an alt season where we see the utility coins run. I do think it's just going to take some time for the attention to roll from those meme coins. And then eventually, hopefully that capital rotates back into the utility coins. It is, we do have, every cycle is a little bit different. And like now we have things like Pump Fund, thousands and thousands of coins being created every single day. It sucks a lot of liquidity out where, back in the day, all these people that are messing around on Pump Fund would kind of just be like stuck buying the stuff that traditional crypto people are going to start buying, right? And I do think we're going to get to a point where there's going to be like traditional crypto people and then like the new age crypto people, like, right? Because like we're seeing this cycle be, somewhat different than last cycle, especially with the alt season. But we'll see what happens. Again, like if we're basing it off the movement of Bitcoin, it's not really until we see. Bitcoin doesn't have any alarming structure being broken. I know, Ethereum's getting absolutely hammered, but I do still think, right, it would be absolutely insane, not impossible, but it would be absolutely insane to me to see this bull market end without Ethereum making a new all-time high. I think that is extremely unlikely, and I know the gas fees are high. I know all the transactions are happening on Solana. This is obviously a fact, right? But I do think eventually we will see that money rotate. I could be wrong, but it would just be crazy, right? Like to see Ethereum not make new all-time highs would be insane. Doesn't mean we can't get freak out, scares to the downside, but at the end of the day, all said and done, in an actual bear market, it would be crazy to see Ethereum, like the second biggest coin ever, not make new all-time highs. Would be absolutely insane, especially with the ETFs and everything. Yeah, shout out to Golden Child said the younger kids trading all the shite coins are killing my alt portfolios. Yeah, but I do think it's a rotation of capital, right? Like, but I will say this too, guys. I said this on Friday. Again, not saying that the top is in, right? I'm not, and to be honest with you guys, like I'm probably never going to be the guy that's going to be like, the top is in, guys, 100%, right? We might say, hey, is the top in? Let's analyze this and try to make an educated guess. Absolutely. Obviously, I base all my information and all my content off facts, right? And information on the actual charts. I'll never come up here and be like, guys, we're going to 200K because I'm just mega bullish because crypto's the future, right? Like, that's all well and good, but unless we have a reason to go up there, I'm not going to call for it, right? So you'll probably never see me sit up here like, that was the top, guys, wrap it up, right? Because that's not how trading works. Nobody can time the top. If someone's out there telling you this is the top, I'm telling you guys it's 100%. These people are lying to you. Nobody knows. Literally nobody knows. A lot of people think this is the bottom, right? This is the end of crypto, right? But what happens? We wake up the next day and everybody's bullish again, right? And what are we looking at? We're looking at, well, hey, if we break 96,000, we're probably going to see a huge flush to the downside, and then maybe we bounce off the value area low, right? Like, so we have actual plans, right? We have actual if this then that statements to have to make sound predictions in the market, not just call for zero when it's dumping and call for $1 million when it's pumping, right? It's not how you make money in this market. So, but I will say this: the president of the United States making a meme coin. I will tell you this: this will be the if $109,000 is the top, guys. Somehow, and we just see this cycle, like no real alt season for the utility coins or whatever. If something like that does happen, I will say this in hindsight: meme coins going crazy, and especially the president of the United States making a meme coin, especially like all the Haktua stuff, like all that stuff is very, very, very toppy feeling. But it doesn't mean it has to be the top of the bull market. It could just be like a macro top. But I will say, like, if we do drop down into a full bear market, and again, that's not, 87K is not a full bear market for me. A lot of people are going to think it's all over at that point. Maybe altcoins are in a full bear market at that point. But, it's... you'd think like, hey, president had meme coins. We had Haktua rug pulling. Kind of seems like, and I'll be honest, I did get a lot of text messages. Frankie said it. No, I'm not saying the top is in, guys. I'm not saying it's not in either, right? Like, again, I'm just not trying to make that prediction, right? For me, I do have a personal bias that we will continue up at some point, but I'm also open to more downside too. We jumped down to 87K. Like, I'm still going to be looking for more upside. But we're going to capitalize on those drops to the downside too. So it really doesn't matter to me, guys. I'll be honest. Like, the emotion of this market has completely been like just eaten out of me, right? Like, it's we dump, and I'm like, oh, cool. Like, a lot of times we're in shorts in the premium Discord, or we're in longs when it pumps. But for my spot bags, guys, I am chilling, right? Like, especially like my alts, right? Like, even my alts that are down, like, I don't even look at my portfolio. This is crypto, right? Like, if you have to be willing to handle these big drops, right? These big shakeouts do happen, and I know it's brutal. I know a lot of people, especially on that drop to the downside. Even for XRP, right? Like, if you bought XRP, I know a lot of people probably bought up here, right? Like, you get a 40% drop in not a lot of time. But look at this. Then you get another 50% rip back to the upside, right? This is just volatility. This is how crypto works. I've been in this market for a long, long, long time. So it's kind of just shaking out of me. My alt bags, like, I don't think I'm holding really any alts, maybe other than COQ, that would just go to zero and never return. I feel comfortable holding my alt bags, even if I have to hold them for an extra year or whatever it is. I have my long-term spot bags, and other than that, I am just trading this thing on the moves up and down, capitalizing on the volatility. Like, this is what we need to trade. We need volatility. We need those big price movements. Even when things go sideways, we have a ton of opportunity to make money if you could trade the way we do, especially with the volume profiles with the 80% chance of seeing those ranges fill when we get those value area highs or value area lows hit. Absolutely insane. Let's see. That's the same with me. After 3 cycles, I'm like desensitized to the drops, like 50%, and you're just numb. Yeah, and the other thing is, too, if you're getting really emotional over these pumps and dumps, and I say this all the time because I talk to people in my personal life all the time, and they're like, they text me like when Bitcoin, they buy Bitcoin and then it drops 10% or whatever it is, and they're like, oh my God, like I lost all my money. And I'm like, if you're freaking out like that over this volatility, you're probably investing way more than you should be, right? You're probably overexposed to the market. You should not have, I was talking to someone specifically, and they were like freaking out because they bought, I think it was XRP. They bought XRP after the first big rip to the upside, and they were enduring this drop to the downside, and they were freaking out. They were like, I don't know what to do. Like, I bought it and all it's doing is going down. Like, should I sell it? And I'm like, if you're freaking out like this, you probably invested too much. And they were like, oh yeah, I put way too much in. And I'm like, you have to manage that, right? Like, if I have to hold my alt bags for another 4 years, right? Like, it's going to be okay for me, right? Because I have a plan with my investments, right? I'm not investing my whole life savings. I'm not investing money that I'm not willing to lose, right? Like, technically, if everything went to zero, now granted, I don't think this is going to be the case, and I wouldn't prefer this situation, right? I would obviously lose a ton of money, but if everything went to zero, right? Like, I'm not going to, like, my life is not going to change, right? In my future, I'd have to replan some things in my future, but it's not. You have to make sure that you're not investing more than you're willing to lose, because not only is this dangerous for your financial situation, your financial health in your life, but it is also very dangerous when it comes to how you're going to manage those investments. Right? If you invest too much, what happens? And I'm pretty sure this is actually what that person did. They buy up here because they see the massive pump, and they're like, this is doing really well. I'm going to buy this. And they don't realize that they're buying the top. No matter how many times I tell them, please don't buy the top, please don't buy the top. They usually do it anyway, which is fine. You have to make your own mistakes. Then you get the pullback, and you've invested too much, and you're freaking out. So what are you going to do? You're going to be more likely to cut your losses here because you're scared to lose all your money. And then what happens? You get another push to the upside, and then you wind up buying the pump again with less money that you had because you lost a bunch of money on this drop. And then you get a drop like this, and then you sell again. And it's usually at this point that people this is usually where people are just like, screw this. I sold the bottom and then it ripped again. I'm out. I'm never doing this again, right? But it doesn't have to be like that. You just have to plan, right? If you invested, like I usually say, put a little bit in here, and then it might drop down. Like, especially when someone asks me, should I buy right now? And it's very close to what I think is a local top. I'll be like, listen, you could buy here and it could keep going, right? So I don't want to tell you not to buy because I could be wrong, right? Everybody wants that yes or no answer. They're just like, just tell me if it's going up or going down. And just to show this or make this public, right? Or I'm going to be explicit about this. Nobody or no thing will ever know if it's just going to go up or down. And obviously, we make pretty fire calls on this channel very often. But it's always an if this, then that statement, and nothing is ever 100%. There is never going to be a YouTuber or anybody that you could just say, is it going up or down? And they're just going to say it's going up, and then you can buy and make a bunch of money. It's not that simple. But what I tell people is like, listen, man, in my opinion, I think this is probably close to topping out before cooling off a little bit, right? So I tell them, me personally, I would never buy this top. I would wait for a pullback. But if you really want to buy, there's no saying that it can't continue up from here. So I don't want to, then you tell them not to buy and it keeps ripping and they're like, what the heck, man? You said it wasn't going to go up. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like, nobody knows. Like, the best traders in the world aren't going to guarantee that a move is going to happen, right? That's not our job as analysts. It's not our job as traders to know exactly what price is going to do. It's about finding an edge with a statistical probability in our favor, and then managing the risk in case it goes against us, because we all know it can, right? So what I say is, for me, if I had to buy in here, what I would do is I would put a small amount of capital in. That way, if it rips, I'm exposed. But if it dips, I can buy the dip. And then I can buy the dip, right? And I can dollar cost average in as it's cooling off or pulling back. And then you could build in your position and then get a pullback to the upside, and you could enjoy those gains. But instead, people get FOMO. All those emotions come in. You have to fight those emotions. They just buy the top, and then they sell the bottom. And then they buy the top, they sell the bottom, they buy the top, they sell the bottom. And then that's why most people lose money in crypto. And you don't want to be that person. You got to take a deep breath, understand it's a volatile market, and XRP is going to $589, guys, so it doesn't even matter. I'm just kidding. Don't clip that, guys. I'm just kidding. Maybe $5.28 soon, but definitely not $589. At least I don't think in this cycle. But anyway, guys, with all that being said, I think that's all the time I got for today's live stream. I got to get ready for the premium live in a few minutes here. So shout out to everybody in here. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Smash that like button on your way out if you enjoyed the content. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shout out to Peter. Said, tickle the top, flood the bottom, baby. Yeah, shout out. Yeah, oh, wow. Tickle the top and flood the bottom. Shout out to Peter. I like that, bro. I like that. 589, baby. Shout out to Crypto Monkey. Frankie, thank you, mate. Shout out to Daniel. Thank you for being here. Satoshi Glakamoto, all set. Jesse, Kevin. Shout out to Kevin. Said, what will be different in the premium in terms of content? Shout out to Kevin. Well, we're going to be looking for those trade setups. So shout out to Kevin. But yeah, I mean, obviously we'll be looking at the same price action, but we'll be looking for those actual trade setups and my plan and trading plan moving forward into the next, into this week. All my money in XRP long, only selling at $500. Thanks, Frankie. Yo, shout out to Mitt. Oh man, you're a savage, Mitt. But guys, with all that being said, no fake out for the morning stream, but I will see you guys later at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Smash that like button on your way out. Drop some candles in the chat on your way out, and I will see you guys later. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Be careful out there. Hopefully Bitcoin can pump up to those levels, and I'll see you guys next time. Kevin says, see you in the premium. Shout out to you, bro. I'll see you in a few minutes. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out.